1.5 horsepower portable cyclone for only $825. For that, you get a 0.2 micron filter. It incorporates a cleaning device. A quarter of a turn will clean the filter. The switch is a remote-controlled magnetic switch, so not only magnetic, but you can turn it on and off remotely while you're standing at your machine. The motor is a 1.5 horsepower cyclone motor. It's not a standard off-the-shelf motor. It's designed from the ground up to operate a cyclone. The barrel has, you may wonder what that hose is for. That puts vacuum in the bottom of the barrel so that it will hold a plastic bag. You simply loosen the latches, roll the barrel out from underneath it, pull the bag out, drop a new bag in, and you're back in business. Very easy, very simple.
Tell me about more about the motor that's designed for a cycle system. How's that different from a regular motor?
Most motors will not accept, cannot be operated under full load. In other words, if most dust collectors, if you take the hose off and you run it, you'll see the amp gauge on that motor. It'll go past its rated amperage. Ours will go to the rated amperage. So that's a big difference. You can't, there are cyclones out there that cannot be run unless they're hooked up to ductwork. Ours can be because the motor is designed from the ground up to be used on a cyclone.
And this is a pleated filter, so this replaces a bag filter that's what? 4 feet high, 10
That's
feet
correct,
high?
yes, in a much smaller package.
Okay, so it allows for this, you're under 6 feet tall. With the wheels, this will be about 6 feet tall, right?
A little bit less than that, actually, yes.
Okay, so portable and fit in a lot of basement shops.
Yes. The decibel rating is 68, I believe. 65, sorry. So you can be running this in your basement shop with a 2 micron filter. You won't be blowing dust up into the wife's kitchen, and she can be watching TV.
About that.
She can be watching TV while the cyclone's running.
Because it's not, because it's fairly quiet.
It's fairly quiet, yes. This is our new Model G0701 19-inch super heavy-duty resaw bandsaw. I say super heavy-duty for a variety of reasons, which I'll point to, but the main feature is this is 4 millimeters thick steel, which is extremely thick steel for a bandsaw. I don't know what you're going to find out there that it has a backbone of 4 millimeter steel. The wheels are, of course, cast iron with our logo cast into the wheel, which has proven to be better than spokes. Of course. Interesting feature on this is the upper blade guide is controlled electronically. You can raise and lower it. Unfortunately, it's not powered, but you raise and lower it with a push of a button. Kind of an interesting setup. 19-inch bandsaw, but a 19-inch resaw capacity. So it's very large capacity. It will accept up to 1 3/8 blade. And because of the super thick steel backbone and the actual steel supporting the wheel is 2.3 millimeters thick, so it's also very strong. And then reinforced, you can tension an 1 3/8 blade. It doesn't do any good to put an 1 3/8 blade on the machine if you can't tension it. This one you can tension it. Another feature that makes this very heavy duty is we'll need to walk around the back of the saw to show you this. When you want to tilt the table, you have a rack and pinion setup.
Yeah.
So, two features or two things to like about that. Number one, it makes it very easy to tilt a very large, heavy cast iron table. But secondly, when you lock it down, normally you only have the trunnion assembly holding the table. But on this one, you have the trunnion assembly and the rack and pinion support, so you've got a really sturdy table able to support a 19-inch piece of wood. 12-inch sliding table saw, model G0699, sells for only $5,995. This is a full-featured sliding table saw. It has 2 motors, one for the main arbor, one for the scoring blade. They're independently controlled. It has a full 120-inch capacity. You can rip a 10-foot long piece of plywood on the sliding table. The fence is heavy-duty cast iron construction with an aluminum rail, cast iron tabletop. The extension tables come with the machine at that price. And what's very important on a sliding table saw is what the sliding mechanism is. Ours is literally 2 V grooves with ball bearings sandwiched between those V grooves. So it's a very precise, easily adjusted, and long wearing system. Something we've done that a lot of people don't do is we have our stop on the slider stop in almost anywhere you want it. And you may say, well, what's so big about that? Well, if you're working with most sliding table saws, you have to pull it to the extreme end before you can lock it. And if you're loading a sheet of plywood, if it's not locked and you're trying to put the plywood on here, the table's going to walk away. So if you have it locked, of course, then you can push your plywood against the fence. Depending upon the size piece you're working with, you may not want to go all the way to the end to lock it. So it's a small thing, but it's just something that we've tried to think of everything on a sliding table saw. I think this is the first 10-inch truly a sliding table saw that you can put in the home shop or small cabinet shop, even a large cabinet shop. Instead of buying a new table saw, they can buy a new table saw and get a sliding table saw. Of course, limited capacity, but this sells for $2,595. It has a 34-inch cross-cut capacity, uses the same setup for the sliding table, identical as our full-size sliding table saws. You simply remove that spacer and put a dado blade on.
That is a huge difference.
That's why this is the next saw for my shop, because I can use a dado blade can be used to. The blades have a shroud around them and a hose connected to it, so it sucks the sawdust off of the blade as well as cleans out the cabinet and collects it off of the blade.
What size motor does it have?
5 horsepower, 220-volt single phase.
We're kidding around.
Available can be powered by most people's shops.
Is the 5 horsepower because of the scoring knife system? Is that the scoring blade? Does that require more power than the standard 3 horsepower cabinets are?
It does take, of course, more horsepower to run a second blade, and more is better. In hot rod days, there's no replacement for displacement, and same way here. 3 horsepower is good, 5 horsepower is better.
Rip capacity.